Minogue, Diaz, Post Malone, Bon Jovi, Brad and Angelina. No, this isn't who went to the Met Gala. I'm talking about celebrities who've put their names to a pink wine. Consumption of rosé has tripled in the last 25 years. In the words of Mugatu, there is no doubt that pink wine is
so hot right now.
Now, I'm going to be honest, we have no idea who most of those people are. Being wine geeks, we thought we'd talk a little bit more about the history of rosé and how you actually make it. And let's start with that last point, because it's not obvious. When I was young and innocent, I thought that white wine came from white grapes, red wine came from red grapes, and rosé, well, either there must have been some pink grapes, or you mixed white and red together. But it turns out it's a bit different. In fact, you can even make a white wine out of red grapes. While blending to make a pink wine does work, suggesting that to a French winemaker would be controversial. The president of the French Winemakers Union recently said,
"Mixing white wine with a few drops of red wine, it comes out orange. It doesn't taste good. It's nothing like rosé, mon Dieu."
The tale of how we make rosé is all about the skins of the grapes, because that's where all the colour is. I'm going to quickly talk about the difference between how white and red wines are made. With a white wine, we gently press the juice out of the grapes and then ferment that clear juice. With a red wine, we leave the grapes in the juice during fermentation. Over several weeks, the colour soaks out of the skins into the wine, we press it to remove the solid bits, et voila, red wine. So, guess what? Making rosé is somewhere in the middle. Here we let the juice mingle with the skins for a short period of time to infuse, a bit like a tea bag, but only for a few hours. We then separate the juice off and start the fermentation. After a few weeks, there's your rosé wine. It can be easy to think of rosé as a fairly modern invention, but all the earliest wines of history were likely pink or amber. The ancient Greeks would take their already pale wines and dilute them with water. According to myth, this was to reduce the arguing at council meetings. While rosé has long been around in various forms, it's impossible to talk about it without mentioning Mateus. Launched in 1942 in a bottle shaped like a soldier's water flask, Mateus turned into a worldwide phenomenon. Sweet and very lightly sparkling, this was the original celebrity rosé. American winemakers claim that their stupidly named white Zinfandel, I mean it's clearly pink, was made by mistake when Bob Trinchero was trying to make a red wine. He bled out some of the juice and this got stuck halfway through fermentation, leaving a bit of sugar, and people liked it. But it's a bit of a coincidence that it followed the Mateus blueprint. While we may think this style of rosé has gone out of fashion, sales remain high. The winery Sutter Home, the inventors of white Zinfandel, sells 17 million cases of it each year. That's nearly 6 times more than the entire region from which Wine 2 comes. It's easy to get snobby about this simpler kind of wine, but the truth is that it's a formula that a lot of people love, and importantly, that serves as many people's first introduction to wine. Our production team tasted the Misty Peak rosé during staff training, and they all loved it so much that they insisted that we put it in the tasting. So, that's our wine number 1, white Zinfandel. It's an important part of the story of rosé, and its great value, especially with the proposed tax rises on higher alcohol wines for next year. At the complete opposite end of the spectrum, in terms of style and technique, is wine number 2 from Provence. Bone dry, perfumed and elegant, it comes from the Coteaux-Varois region in the heart of Provence, growing in the mountains on chalky soil surrounded by the famous Provençal herbaceous scrubland, the garrigue. These bushy plants seed the air with a sensation-overwhelming mist of oils and perfumes, and that lands on the grapes and gets into the wine, giving it an incredible quality. With increased sales and the influx of celebrities, Provence has been deep diving into a search for quality and sustainability. Château de l'Escarel has achieved the highest rating on France's new sustainable agriculture scheme, and they have a real focus on biodiversity with a massive butterfly preservation project ongoing. Made from a blend of entirely red grapes, these are hand-harvested and hand-sorted twice to remove anything that could tarnish the flavour. The pink colour transfer happens very quickly at incredibly low temperatures when the grapes are pressed straight away to keep the colour as delicate as possible. Because of their complexity, Provençal rosé wines are incredibly versatile and can go with everything from seafood to stronger flavoured grilled meats. But the wonderful thing about rosé wines is that they can have such different characters. While the trend is clearly towards pale, lightly flavoured wines, tonight we wanted to highlight some wines which go against this trend and feature fruitier, but still bone-dry styles, showing a little more of the character of the grapes from which they're made. Hopefully this will leave you with an idea of the range that is available, plus open you up to some absolutely delicious pink wines to drink in the sunshine this summer.